Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome back. Our guest today is a good friend of mine, Rafi Farber from the Endgame Investor. Welcome back, Rafi.
Hey, Ivan, good to be back.
Great to have you on. It's an exciting time right now in precious metals. We're looking at silver prices hitting that $42 mark around there. Gold prices keep going up as well. But I know me and you've talked many times in the past. It doesn't really matter about what the gold prices are exactly. It matters about the fundamentals and the end game. So I wanted to bring you on and talk to you about everything happening right now, what's concerning you, what's worrying you. Yeah, what are your thoughts right now on precious metals?
My thoughts on this. I just finished a show I do once a month with Phil Lowe of the Bitter Draft, and we were talking about endgame violence. It's clearly kicked up a gear. There was that stabbing on that subway of that innocent Ukrainian woman by that crazy guy, and then there was this the murder of Charlie Kirk out in broad daylight, and we're seeing horrific violence. And this is not unrelated to gold and silver's rise, because gold and silver don't rise. It's the dollar that falls. And as the dollar falls, all of the people who have relied on a stream of dollars for their inflationary salaries or whatever is dumping dollars into their pockets, they get more squeezed and they become, if they have a tendency to violence, they'll become more violent. And that's what we're seeing. And Phil actually shared with me a statistic that I didn't know about. And I don't remember the exact numbers that he said, but I know the ranges. And he said he wanted to know what the historical backdrop is or the precedents are for violence going towards a hyperinflationary endgame. So he looked how many politicians were murdered or assassinated in Weimar Germany from 1918 to 1923, and the answer was like 378 or something like that.
Really? No way.
And but the crazy part was how many of those 378 were murdered specifically from the summer of 1922 and to the end of the hyperinflation 1923. The answer was 350 of the
Wow.
378 in those 12 months, whatever it was.
Hmm.
So as we head into a hyperinflationary endgame, there's more assassinations. It's just how it is because people become more deranged. So that's what I'm looking at now. I'm seeing how the numbers for gold and silver as they get higher and higher, meaning as the dollar gets lower and lower, the insanity comes out from just thoughts and wishes to actual violence in the streets, and that's what we're seeing now.
Hello, my silver and gold bugs. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching the video. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and also hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. Back to the video. What are your thoughts on everything that happened with Charlie Kirk? Do you think it could break out into a civil war if things continue to escalate? And if you are, if we're comparing it to, inflation and the dollar be, losing its purchasing power and losing its value, what are your thoughts? Do you think a civil war is headed for America?
I don't know how a civil war would actually happen logistically, because you have how I would imagine that it could happen is the red states would fight the blue states, but they're all kind of like separated in the country. You'd have the West Coast that might break off and fight, I don't know, Idaho and Montana, but that doesn't make sense.
Right.
That's not really a fair fight. I would see uh, you could have, riots in the streets of the big cities, something like that. You can have a lot of civil unrest, but I don't see how, a formal civil war would actually happen. Who would fight who, and what would be the battle lines? I can't really figure it out. Um, but I mean, what you could have is maybe blue states, making a union, calling each other up. I mean, we're seeing that. We saw something like that when it came to Joseph Ladapo. That he's the Surgeon General of Florida. I think that's his title. Or the
Okay.
head state doctor of Florida, and he said all vaccine mandates are going out the window now. No more vaccine, any kind of vaccine mandates. They're all going away in Florida. You don't have to
Nice.
have any vaccines to go to school at all, period. That's it. And then, what's his name? That idiot, Gavin Newsom, and the other idiots that are in charge of those states in the West Coast are like, no, we're standing up for science, and we stand for science, and we're going to make our vaccine mandates even bigger and better, and blah, blah, blah. So those kinds of ideological lineups, it's not big enough to be a civil war yet, but I can see how if the dollar really starts to go out the window, then you could have something like the blue states would say, "Oh, this is all the red states' fault. They're killing everything and cutting spending, and everyone's poor now, and we're going to separate and create our own currency, and all the blue states will come and make their own whatever we're going to call the country and secede from the union." Especially if there's a Republican president, maybe JVD Vance gets elected or somebody more right wing, if you want to call him that right wing. I could see a political divide. I just don't see how you could have a formal civil war and then riots in the streets of the big cities.
We were talking about this a few interviews ago about, what happens when the end game does come and you start seeing anarchy on the streets. How would people prepare themselves? And we talked lots about, community, and, and helping your community and sticking to your community and helping it grow. Can you explain those things again for all of our new viewers? And when we start heading to a chaotic and more anarchy in the streets, how do you want to protect yourselves? Because it looks like we're heading towards that as the end game gets closer and closer. So how do you protect yourself?
Well, if you think about what could happen in an endgame scenario where there's no more dollar value that's flowing through the system because the dollar can't distribute value anymore because it's worthless. So then therefore, how is the internet going to stay up? I'm not saying it will go down forever, but there's probably going to be, at the peak of it, internet service is going to go off, cell phone service is going to go off for a while. And then if you have no actual community that you know where they live and who your neighbors are and where they are and where your friends actually are, then your phone goes off and you have no more social media connection. You can't really talk to anybody or anything. You're totally isolated,
Right.
totally isolated, and that's what's going to happen to most of the people that spend most of their lives in social media and have no reality beyond that. Whether you're right wing or left wing doesn't really make a difference. If you have nobody in the real world, you're going to be completely isolated in an in-game scenario, at least for a while, and that's going to be terrifying, and you're not really
Yeah.
going to know what to do. So if you're in suburbia, if first of all, if you're in the big cities, I'd get out now. Any big city. If you're in suburbia, knock on neighbors' door. If you don't know your neighbors, knock on your neighbors' doors. Get to know who they are. Make friends on the street. Know where they live. Get to know people who have real skills. Learn something. Find the industrial area where people work with their hands and learn from some of the, local producers. Anything you can to connect in your community. Go to synagogue, go to church, whatever religious events that you can go. Even if you're not religious, these are good people to know because they connect on a ground level. Or any other social group that you can participate on where people actually meet each other. Right? This is just basic stuff that when service goes down, it will go down for a while. You don't want to be completely isolated. You want to have a group of people that you can rely on, that you can be friends with, and that can help you out, and that you could barter with if you need to. It's just basic get to know your neighbors. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Rafi, I've been watching recently a lot of documentaries and interviews and a lot of educational videos on, like massive, like what happens when a Great Depression comes and what happens in financial collapses and how most of them are orchestrated by central banks or even secret societies. What are your thought on, the biggest threat to humans and our society and our financial freedom? And do you think it's a mix of central banks and secret societies, or what are your thoughts on even secret societies running central banks?
No, I don't think I don't deny the existence of secret societies, but I do deny that they have extra special, amazing powers that are beyond anyone's reach to challenge.
Right.
I think they exist. I don't know, the Illuminati or whatever, Skull and Bones. I don't know what these, or you could just say the Ivy League, you know, those kinds of things. I mean, the secret societies might not be anything more important than like we went to the same college and we go to the same reunions and we help each other out. But everybody does that in whatever group they're in. It just
Right.
happens to be that because the Fed keeps recycling MIT graduates, they all have this little fraternity and fine, whatever. I think they're a little bit too convenient of a target to say, oh, it's their fault. If we get rid of them, everything will be fine because it's not going to be fine. These power centers tend to attract, if it's not going to be MIT graduates, it'll be just some other clique of, idiots that went to, I don't know, University of Chicago and learned economics, or University of whatever, Berkeley, and then they learn their economics. And then you get one guy from there, and then he starts bringing in his friends from Berkeley, and then you have the same sort of looking thing. So it's convenient to blame secret societies and say, oh, they're part of this pedophile cult. Maybe they are. I don't even know.
Hmm.
But even if we got rid of, let's say, all the pedophile cultists, if they exist, you could argue that they do. You could argue that they don't. I mean, I think there are pedophile groups. I don't know if they hold all the economic power because that's it's just too far-fetched, and
Right.
it's too simple. It's too simple because people want to think, oh, they want to group one group. You get them out, and then everything's fine. Then we can continue in our current inflationary system, and everything will be better. No, it's the system itself. That's what has to change, and it's the cart before the horse. What I think happens is that you enter an inflationary system, and then the flows start going towards powerful people, and then as the inflation makes them more powerful, they get out, they become even more powerful. They get to the forefront, and then people start blaming these groups that got powerful because of the inflation, and then it feeds on itself until everything blows up. But it's really the inflationary system that's the problem, and it's not the secret societies that are really to blame. Those will always be. What will make the secret societies more powerful and too powerful and dangerously powerful is the inflationary system itself, and that's what has to end. And then secret
Yeah.
societies can, go back to, I don't know, cutting stones and, I don't know, talking about architecture or whatever the hell they do. I don't know.
Welcome to the Cayman Islands, a premier offshore jurisdiction where natural beauty meets financial stability. Here, your wealth is more than secure. It thrives in one of the most trusted and respected financial centers in the world. For over a decade, SWP has been the trusted choice for precious metal investors worldwide. Our purpose-built 6,000 square foot facility sets a new standard in precious metals storage. We are proud to be one of the only vault operators approved by the London Bullion Market Association. Beyond safeguarding your assets, we're committed to making a difference in our community by supporting local causes and events that reflect our values. As we continue to expand and innovate our services, we ensure that your wealth is safe and strategically positioned to shield you from the uncertainties that lie ahead. Strategic wealth preservation, trusted today and ready for tomorrow.
No, yeah, absolutely. That's perfectly explained. Now, are you in the belief that, central banks, they're the ones who can orchestrate a collapse by either inflating the currency or, t cutting out money supply, taking out money from the money supply so they can orchestrate a depression or they can orchestrate a collapse. Let's say you had the power and you were a president who can, get away from central banks and start a new system. What new system would you start? And would it just be backed by, precious metals or like, yeah, how would it work in an event of an end game and central banks are starting to lose power?
I'm not a central planner, so I have no system. I don't believe in any system that will be organized by anyone like me, or because I don't know what to do.
Right,
All I know is that the free market can organize it by itself, and all I would be responsible for is enforcing property rights. That's all that governments can do. That's all they should do,
right.
and that's all they would do in a society that is just. So. I mean, your question, can central banks orchestrate a collapse? They could theoretically. It's possible. I'm saying if a light went off in Jay Powell's head and he says, you know what, this inflationary system, it's going to destroy everyone. I got to end it now. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop printing money. I'm gonna sell all the bonds that are on my balance sheet, and I'm going to crash the bond market, and all the banks are going to collapse, and then but then what would happen to him? He would get lynched.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
he's just he even if he wanted to do that, he's trapped. Even if Ron Paul were head of the Fed, he would be trapped too, because what would he say? He would say, okay, so people, I'm going to collapse the system now. Everybody hunker down. and then there'd be a then there'd be a bank run the next day. All the
Yeah.
banks would collapse anyway. He wouldn't have to do anything. It would just by him saying that it would be over.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And then he'd be blamed. So the central bankers are caught in the same system that we are. They can't end it, even though theoretically they would have the power to. If they even tried, they'd be lynched and they'd be dead. So they got to keep it going for as long as they can until they have a maybe they're smart enough to have an exit plan and they can go to an island somewhere, or they will actually be lynched in the street. I'm not advocating that. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope they just
Right.
run away and go into a bunker and never come back again. I don't want to see any more violence, but they are as trapped as we are, and they're as hopeless as anybody else, even the poorest.
Wow. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's I totally agree with you. Now, Rafi, with everything getting more, exciting in the precious metals market space, people have been waiting, 13 plus years for silver to hit these levels. I really want them to follow your work. I want them to follow your YouTube channel and connect with you. I'm going to put your links in the description below, but where can they find you, Rafi?
You can find me at endgameinvestor.substack.com, where we are tracking the imminent flip of the switch, as they might say. And I think we're weeks away from something big happening in the plumbing, and what that I don't think that's going to lead to hyperinflation immediately, but it will restart the printing. And once it does, we're already on the cusp of cutting rates into an inflationary cycle, which it should kick off stagflation, and that should really accelerate us into the end of this. I don't think we have much time left, and the less time we have, the better, because then we can get all this violence over with, and hopefully there's hyperinflation tomorrow, and there's no more time for any more violence. But no, no, there's going to be more time, and it's going to be tough, and we just have to support each other and realize that it will be better on the other side, and humanity's not ending. We can't have those doom and gloom thoughts, because we are the hope for humanity. We
Right.
are. That's our position, because we understand what money is and what money isn't. And money makes the world go around, not credit. Credit doesn't make the world go around. Money makes the world go around, because credit is based on money.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. And either we take charge or the world stops going around. And the world's not going to stop going around. We're going to take charge. It just depends how quick we do it and how quick we are on our feet. And that means just keep stacking. And then when everything falls, buy everything you can and support your community.
Absolutely. No, that's incredible words, and we really appreciate you, Rafi, for coming down and speaking to the whole community. Everyone watching this, highly recommend you go follow Rafi. I'm going to put the links in the description below. And Rafi, as the market develops and all the stuff happens in the world and everything happens geopolitically, financially, I would really love to have you back. And again, appreciate having you on.
Great.
Talk to you soon.